Well, everyone, I wanted to go ahead and make a quick little review video on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and kind of see if you should still buy this particular camera. Now, this is the thing to kind of keep in mind with this particular device. I think this is a beautiful concept, and I really do think, DJI did a really good job with this particular device. I think overall the concept is so nice. And the reason why I like this particular device so much is that it gives you a very good camera for a very small form factor. I would argue that this thing can probably take over my Canon T6i that I typically travel with. And whenever I travel with my Canon T6i, I have to bring my camera, the lens, rechargeable battery case sometimes, which requires me to bring a new adapter, which is really annoying, to charge the battery, and I have to bring a tripod. The thing that I like a lot about this particular camera is that I don't have to really worry about those things. My camera and my tripod, my screen, is all built into one thing. And the battery, I can charge it via USB Type-C, and it's actually a really nice type of setup. Another really cool thing that I like about this camera hardware-wise is the fact that that type of lens can move around without me having to move my particular camera around. On my T6i or my average Canon camera that I typically travel with, I have to pick up the thing, I have to move it around. With this thing, it's so lightweight and the technology is so decent that I can go through and I can actually enable things like object tracking and face tracking to even track my phone when I'm moving it around. That is actually something that is so sick, and it makes this that much better of a device to kind of use. Now, on the outside, this particular camera is basically giving you a pretty decent type of hardware setup. This thing on the front is basically giving you a swivel display, which I actually find really nice. It allows you to go ahead and swivel this thing up from being basically a portrait mode type of camera to a landscape type of camera. It is a 2-inch screen, so it's not anything crazy, but it's still 700 nits of brightness, which is decent. It does have micro SD card slot support, which is really nice. And the camera itself is attached to this gimbal. Now, this gimbal has given me a lot of issues, and it is probably the reason why I'm going to have to return this, or that, the person I borrowed this from is basically going to have to return this, because this particular gimbal is giving just the weirdest problem, and this camera was almost perfect before that. But before we even get into that, the big thing that I loved about this thing was the portability aspect. I could go through and really kind of travel all over the world with this thing, and I was thinking that this thing could have been a really good kind of, comparison, or a really good kind of alternative to my big Canon camera I was kind of lugging around. This thing basically hit every single ballpark I was kind of hitting on, and that was a very cool thing until it got to the gimbal. Now, what the gimbal is basically one of the coolest standout features for this particular device is the fact that this particular camera lens kind of moves around all over the place. So if I'm object tracking, instead of me moving the whole entire thing around, the gimbal itself is so intelligent that it will just strategically move around, and the gimbal itself will actually go through and actually hide the camera lens when I'm done with it, and it really is a really nice concept. However, the issue that we ran into was that whenever we would go through and actually use that camera, it would randomly give me this gimbal mount not working kind of type of error, and it would randomly happen at the randomest times. Sometimes it would be fixed, but it was so inconsistent that it truly ruined some of the best moments that we were going to capture at some events. So if I was going through and using it as just for a video device, I think it'd be okay because I could just fix it and then move on. But in a quick second, when I'm going to try to film something, the gimbal itself wasn't actually moving the camera lens, so it would just not track the things I was trying to track, or it would just point downwards when I wanted it to point upwards, and it would just keep shifting back down. I tried to troubleshoot it with online instructions and stuff, nothing seemed to be working, but that was one of the most annoying things going on for this particular device, and I'm not really too sure why that ended up happening, but that was a very annoying thing, and that really kind of ruined my experience with this thing, because it was almost perfect up until that. With this camera, you can still film in 4K video, you can film in 3K video if you want to. You can do slow motion at 4K as well. You can do hyperlapse, time-lapse, motion lapse. You can do a lot of stuff within this particular camera. And the camera itself, the quality of it is very good. But the problem that we're experiencing is that gimbal issue. And that's kind of the problem that I have with it, because the battery life was decent, the performance itself was good, the recordings looked amazing, and even the ability of connecting it, with more accessories to expand the battery life and things like that, that was really nice. But the gimbal itself is the issue, and if you can go and work with DJI to fix those issues, then I think that's fine. But, just keep in mind that from what I'm reading on a lot of the forum posts, that is one of the issues that I'm experiencing, and I might have to still stick with my Canon. I was very close to switching over to this DJI, but unfortunately, because of that gimbal issue, it's kind of giving me some problems. But I'd recommend for you to do some research, see if you end up wanting to kind of deal with it. if you're able to fix it, then I'd recommend kind of thinking about it. But other than that, that's kind of my small little review of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.